Hello, my stamping friends. This is Sandra with Krafty Kreations with Sandra. I'm a bit late today. Life got in the way. Daily life. So we're gonna wait a couple minutes. Hopefully a few of you can hop on. We're making some awesome envelopes today that you're gonna be able to make for any size card that you want. But I'm showing you 3 sizes. But once you know the concept, then you can adjust them as you wish. So we're making a large envelope like this for a regular size card. This is a regular 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card. And I made this envelope. And then I have a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 card. And we'll make this envelope. So we're going to review all the sizes, and we're going to learn how to make all those sizes. And then we have a small 3 by 4 card. And all of the envelopes are made with half sheet of designer series paper. That's 6 by 12. And as you can tell, for this envelope, you actually have enough left over to make the card. So I'm excited to show you. And I'm using the same paper and the same stamp set. I'm just going to change the order in which I use them. So once again, we're making 3 sizes, and we're starting with this one. So we're going to make all 3 envelopes, and then we'll make the cards because we use some of the leftovers for the cards. Okay? How are you today? Hi, Julia. Hi, Rosa. I was fixing dinner. I have to tell you what I was doing. And at 5:15, I went to the store. Of course, I had to go get a Starbucks first. Then I went to the store to buy, I'm making ribs. And I always make ribs with mashed potatoes and corn. But today I thought, I am boring. I'm going to make potato salad. And then I thought, oh, what do I serve with ribs and potato salad? So I thought, oh, some pork and beans, right? So I went to El Sol Market. I got in line. It was 10 minutes till 6. I paid, and I forgot to pay for the beans. So I had to go back in to pay for the beans. So that's what made me super late. Because had I been aware that I put the beans down somewhere, because I didn't have a cart because I was in such a hurry. Anyway, that's happened. So usually my dinner is prepared before 6 o'clock, but today it wasn't. Anyway, that's why I was late. So we're using the In Symmetry paper, and I'm pretty sure it's not called In Symmetry. It's called something Symmetry because the stamp set is called In Symmetry. So I think it's pretty neat, and you think you can't use it that much, but there's a whole variety of ways that you can use this stamp set. I really like it. Okay, so we're going to start with the large envelope, which is this one. I'll put this here. And we're going, this is my card, but we're not going to do that yet. Okay, we're going to start with a piece that is 6 by 12. Okay? And I have a pattern that I will scan and send to you. Okay? So, I'm going to explain it so when you get it, you can understand my chicken scratch. So, 6 by 12 is here and here, but it's not to scale, so don't rely on the scale. We're going to score at 3/4 on each of the long sides. 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch. Then we're going to score at 4 1/4 on one end and 2 on the other end. So we're going to score 3/4, 3/4, 4 1/4, and 2. Okay? So let's do that. It's really not that hard. You just have to have the template so you can remember the measurements. Okay. So I said 3/4, and I didn't score them ahead of time so I wouldn't go so fast. Little did I know I was going to be a half an hour late. Okay, 3/4 I'm scoring. And I'm doing it gently, and I'm doing it a lot of times. So it can be very well defined, but I don't tear my paper. 3/4 on the other side. Okay? I find it easier to score on this side than turn my paper and score on this side, okay? Because I don't like to extend that arm when I don't have to. So 4 1/4, I'm gonna score at 4 1/4. And then I'm gonna turn my paper and I'm gonna score at 2. Ooh, I should have done it the other way, but I didn't. It won't matter. You see how this paper has direction? I should have scored it at 2 here so that when I open my flap, my flowers wouldn't be upside down. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter for me right now, but just be aware that if there's direction to your paper, and I looked at this side, but I forgot to look at the back. So now I'm going to score at 2. Okay. So I scored at 3/4, 3/4, 4 1/4, and 2. So this is my top flap. Okay, now I'm just gonna fold on all my score lines. And at this point, I don't really need to use my bone folder. At least I don't think so. Okay, so I have all of my folds. In the pattern, which is this way, 2 inches up here, we're going to wedge cut here to the score line, and then we're going to cut off this piece. We're going to wedge cut on this one, and we're going to cut off this piece. We're going to wedge cut on the middle one towards the corner, towards the meet where they meet, the 2 score lines meet, and then we're going to remove all of this. We're going to wedge cut here and remove all of this. Okay, so we're going to remove the 2 bottom pieces and the 2 top pieces, wedging those corners of the middle piece, but not very much. Okay, all right, so I'm going to wedge up a little bit, angle cut, whatever it is you call it, and I'm cutting right next to the score line. And I'm removing this piece first. Okay, there's one piece. And I'm going to angle cut right here to the score line. And then I'm going to cut up to remove that piece. If your paper has direction on the front, there's no way around that one piece will when you fold it up this way, this will be upside down. There's no way around that. But on the inside, since you can't see most of the paper, you can make it work. So I'm removing the top pieces. This is the top flap. Slightly angle cut to the score line. And right to the right of the score line, so I don't get that fold. All right, so here's my envelope. I'm going to do this, fold these in, fold this up, and glue it right here, and there's my envelope. And the reason you want to wedge these a little bit is so that they don't interfere with the fold. Okay, so look, I'm going to actually the way I did it is I put glue here so that I know exactly where I need it. Okay, and I know it's like 3/4, so I'm doing about a 1/2 inch of glue. And I'm not putting a big glob. It's very thin. Okay, so when I fold it up, there's my envelope. You see, and you don't really need to use your bone folder, but if you really want to, I guess at the end you can do it. I don't think you need it to assemble it. And there is my envelope. I did think we could corner round these, and I didn't try it on my first batch, so let me try it on this batch. So So let me find my corner rounder. I get organized and then I'm so disorganized after I get organized. So I can't find anything. Where's my corner rounder? Well, if I should run into it, we'll round those corners. Y se fue. Anyway, I can't see it. I don't see it. If I run into it, we'll do it. All right, so there's my large envelope. Did you like it? It's easy, huh? All you need is those measurements, but I'll scan those sheets for you. So there was the big envelope. Now we're gonna do the medium one. And I have a pattern for the medium one too. This is my card. I'm gonna set over here. So this card is 4 1/4 by 4, let me make sure. 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Yes. Which is really 4 1/4 across the paper and then folded at 4 1/4. So one single sheet of paper, you're going to be able to get 2. I already cut off a piece here. So it's just the width of the paper, okay? The existing width of the paper. So we'll just set this aside for a little while. We'll do our cards at the end. And this is our envelope. So let me review the measurements. You're still going to start with a 6 by 12 piece of paper, okay? Now, once again, we're going to score at 3/4 on both sides. But before we do that, we're going to chop off. We're going to cut off 2.5 inches. The very first thing we're going to do is going to chop off 2.5 inches, which later we're going to use for our cards. Once we chop off the 2.5 inches, very similar steps. Score at 3/4 on one side, score at 3/4 on the other side, on the landscape side, on the long side. And then, I forgot to write the measurement here. It's 3 inches. Let me just make sure. Let me make sure. Yep, it's 3 inches. Right here it's 3 inches. I forgot to write that down. So score at 3 inches right here. So we're going to score at 3 inches, and then on the top we're going to score at 2. All 3 sizes have the score line at 2 inches at the top, okay? And now once again, this has no direction, so it doesn't matter how I use it, and this has no direction, so in this case it doesn't matter. So I'm going to chop off 2.5, then I'm going to score 3/4, 3/4, 3 inches, and 2 inches, okay? So let's get that done. I'm going to chop off 2.5. I'm going to save this for my cards. Now I'm going to score at 3/4 of an inch on the long side and flip it and do 3/4 on the other side. It's super simple. You're just going to have to put your measurements in a notebook so you can find them. All right? So now we're going to score at 3 inches on the bottom. 3 inches and 2 inches on the top. I'm flipping the paper over. 2 inches on the top. So there's my envelope already scored. Fold on all the score lines. I'm doing exactly the same steps that we just did. The short one is my top, all right? I'm going to wedge cut to remove these 4 pieces in the corners, all right? This is a little harder to see. Wedge cut here, remove this piece. Wedge cut here, right to the fold, right to the score line. It's really hard to see. And remove this piece. Wedge cut on the other one, and we're wedge cutting on the middle panel on both sides. And and then remove that piece. And I'm cutting to the inside of the score line, so I can remove the score line. Otherwise, you're going to have a little fold, a little dent. Okay, wedge, remove, right next to the score line, so you can remove the score line. Super simple. I don't really need those scraps. Here we go. Fold these in, fold this up, fold this down, and there's your envelope. Isn't that awesome? All right, so I'm gonna put the glue right here once again, because that way I don't end up with glue where I don't need it. Fold these in, fold this up, and there's my envelope. I can burnish my folds if I want to. But actually it is good to burnish, I guess. It stops fighting. There's my envelope. Number 2. Alright, ready for the third one? Don't you just love it that it's so simple? Here's number 3. This is 3 by 4, and the envelope is 3. I did put the size of the envelope on the instructions, 3.5 by 4.5. Okay. So then my card is 3 by 4.25. Okay, so let's set this over here. And once again, I'm just going to review. We're going to chop off 4.5 inches. We're going to chop it off. That's what we're going to use for our card. Then we're going to score at 3/4 and 3/4. And this time, we're scoring at 2 inches on each side, the top and the bottom. Just 2 inches. Very simple. Okay. So, chop off 4.5. This paper doesn't have direction either. It sort of has direction here. And I want my front to have it right side up, but like I told you, on the other two, they're gonna be upside down. So let's chop off 4.5. 4.5, chop it off. We're gonna use that. This is gonna be our card. Okay, now we're gonna score at 3/4. So it's really easy. All 3 envelopes have scores at 3/4 on both sides, and all 3 envelopes have 2 inches at the top. You just have to remember the other measurements for the bottom. But like I said, if you have a notebook, stick it in there. So now I did 3/4 and 3/4. Now I'm going to do 2 inches and 2 inches. Flip my paper and do 2 inches. Okay, so that's simple. Fold on all my score lines. Wedge cut. So you're getting review 3 times because it's the same procedure. It's just different measurements. Okay? So there's, so I suggest that you cut it until it falls off. Don't pull it, because when you pull it, it leaves it a little snagged. It leaves it a little looking not so good. So it's just easier to go back in and cut a little further in so it falls off. Okay? Wedge. Am I in the camera? Yes, I am. It's hard to see. Up, up, up. Let's go back and finish that little trim. Last one, wedge. and remove. Okay, so there are my scraps. I don't need the scraps. I guess I could be creative and use them. So what I want is my flowers to be right side up on the front of the envelope, so I'm going to use it like this. Okay, it's better to keep at least the front, I think. So I'm going to add glue right here. Exactly the same process. And there's my envelope. 3 different sizes. Same process, just slightly different. Well, the chopping off is what makes a difference, really. Okay, so now let's start with the small card. So this is going to be the small card. This is 4.5, but we need it to be 4 1/4. We need it to be 1/4 less because the envelope is 4.5, so it's not going to fit. So we're going to remove 1/4 inch from the top, just 1/4 inch, cut it off, and then because it's 6 inches, you're going to score it at 3 inches to make your card base. So there's my card base. I could choose to do it like this if I wanted to, but I don't think I want to. I'm going to cover most of that. And then here's my piece for the front. And I need a piece for the inside. Oh, it's right here. It's 2 3/4 by 4. It's 2 3/4 by 4. Okay, so I need 2 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 4. And I'm going to stamp. And I didn't do any of my stamping, which is what's just going to take. And then we're going to use this little piece right here, okay? So don't get rid of it. We're not going to use it on this card. We're going to use it on the next card. Okay. Now, why is this not 2 3/4? One of these is not 2 3/4. I guess it doesn't matter. This is 2 3/4 by 4. This is 2.5, but it won't matter. Okay, so we're going to do, how about we do, how about we do a happy birthday card? Only because I don't need so many thank you cards. I could always use birthday cards. Although I do love this font. Thanks so much. Isn't that cute? I'm just cleaning my birthday stamp. And I stamped it with Night of Navy. So these are the colors that I used. Just Jade, Night of Navy, and Flirty Flamingo. And I don't think I used Pale Papaya. So I think these are the 3 colors I used. Night of Navy, Just Jade, and Flirty Flamingo. So we're going to stamp the sentiment with Night of Navy. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm just going to practice right here. Yep, my Night of Navy needs to be re-inked. And I don't have a re-inker. There's my happy birthday. Then I'm going to take my Just Jade. Look at how cute this is. Just Jade, I'm going to put the stem. I'm just going to make the stem go up right here from the, see how simple that is? And then I'm going to take the pair of leaves, the small pair of leaves from that stamp set. Remove this. And I'm going to stamp them twice. Right on the stem. I'm going to stamp them twice. Isn't that cute? How would you mail that type of envelope and address? You would have to put a label on it, is my thought. And then I'm going to take the flour. Hi, Joanne. I'm glad you could join us. I'm taking the flour with Flurry Flamingo. Oops, wrong flour. Let me clean this before I make a mess. I have to use a small flour. We're using this flour for the large card. We're using the small flour. I'm going to show you a little trick. I'm full of tricks. I'm going to stamp it, but I'm going to stamp it sideways like this. Okay? And then I'm going to stamp it on a scrap. And then let's go ahead and stamp the inside. I think for the inside I made kind of a mess here because I didn't do the leaves very well, but I think I'm just going to do 2 flowers. And it's this tiny little flower. I couldn't find my other block. Let's go ahead and do the inside so I don't have to take out these colors again. Maybe instead of doing them in the corner, maybe I could just do them like this. Oops. Like this. That way they don't get in the way the other one for the leaves. Let me see, I don't even know what I'm saying. Let me see what I decide. That's pretty cute. It does need a leaf or 2. So what we can do is we can mask. Remember I taught you how to mask last week? Or was it 2 weeks ago? When did I teach you that? Take some Scotch tape. Oops. Take some Scotch tape. I just dropped. I dropped the stamp. I got it. So I'm going to mask. First I'm going to clean it because I didn't clean it after I used it. Then I'm going to mask it. I'm going to cover this one. It's stamped however you want, actually. You know, just make it work for you. I only got ink on one. I'm going to remove this, throw it away because it'll be messy if it gets on anything. I'm going to stamp this right here. Kind of big, huh? Maybe I should have stamped the big flower. Oh well, I didn't. One more mask. One more cleaning. Be sure to clean it. Otherwise you'll have a big mess on your hands. And this time I want the one on the right. Oops. I want the one on the other one. I just inked it. I removed my mask. And then I'm going to stamp it right here. Looks a little weird there. Hold on, I could have done both. Let me mask one more time. You see, you fix it as you go. You make it look good for whatever you think is good. Okay, I'm gonna do one here. There. I like that. I like that better than before. All right. We're done with the inside and the outside. I mean, stamping. We're gonna fussy cut this flower. Just really quick go around. It's not difficult. Mary, you're watching from Las Vegas? Woohoo! From the happy hour bar? I saw you were in happy hour. Have a drink for us. Okay, so I'm almost done fussy cutting. So now I'm going to take my focal point, which I just stained, and then I'm going to take some dimensionals. And I'm going to put 2 dimensionals here. Peel them off. Peel off the backs. And then I'm going to put it right on top of this flower, so it makes it a 4-petal flower. You see that? Makes it a bigger flower, and it gives it dimension. Alright, now we just glue this here. It really can be any card you want to create. I just wanted to make use of this leftover piece. That was the objective here. So you don't have so many leftovers. And then for the inside, we're just going to glue this piece, which is slightly smaller, but the bigger border won't hurt anybody. You know, I think this size of card is perfect for sticking in a gift. Like when you give something in a gift bag. There you go. There's your set. Pretty cute, huh? Alright, so let's move on to the second card, to the second size. And the second size is, we're going to use this piece, and we're going to use this piece, and we're going to cut, let me remember, because I don't remember, 2 3/4. So we're going to cut a little piece that's 2 3/4. Okay, just across. 2 3/4. Oops. I still have this left over for my next card. And then I'm going to take 1/4. I want this to be the top. I'm going to mark 1/4 on the bottom, but I'm not really going to mark it. I'm just going to line it up here at the quarter, and then I'm going to put my tip, my corner here on the cutting line, and my tip over here on the 1/4 inch. So I'm trimming off a 1/4 inch wedge. Okay? Did you see what I did? I'm going to put, this is going to be my little flower pot. So I'm going to put this piece, this corner on the 1/4 inch, and this on the cutting line. I'm just doing it in the opposite direction. Cutting line, I actually wanted to do it this way so the cut would be the same. 1/4 inch, cutting line. I'm doing it like this so that, you know how it curls? I want it to curl on the back. So there's my little pot. It doesn't just look like a square, it looks like a pot. And then this piece over here, it's going to be the top, the little wedge, the little edge. We could use this side or we could use this side. Which one do you like? The darker one? I kind of like the darker one. And I'm just going to cut it slightly bigger on each end. I'm not measuring anything. I'm just making it slightly bigger. Okay? That's how I made the pot. So let me just put a tiny bit of glue right along the top. Tiny, 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 tiny. Place this little strip. And if I need to trim it a little more, I can. And the best way to get it straight is to just make it meet the bottom piece. That way you don't have to be guessing if you got it straight or not. And then I think I need to trim it a little bit more. My card is 8.5 by 4 1/4, scored at 4 1/4. So then my card is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. And my pot, my flower pot, I shouldn't say my pot, huh? Okay, so now I'm going to stamp the stems. And I'm going to stamp the Hey Friend first. Right here, I'm going to stamp. I think I cut some of this off. I think I cut off a 1/4 inch of this. It seems a little high. Let me cut off a 1/4 inch from the bottom. it's not going to be as slanted as I wanted it. So here's another example of once you make it, if you need to modify it, you go ahead. Because just because we thought it would work doesn't always. I didn't write any notes on these, so just kind of creating. Okay, there's my flower pot. I'm gonna take my stem. Oh, I'm gonna take my sentiment first. And I'm gonna use the same one. Hey friend. I think this is really cute. Hey friend, whatever. Hope you feel better. Hey friend, happy birthday. Hey friend, I miss you. Whatever you want to say to your hey friend. Okay, so I'm gonna have to stick my head in there. What's dark? Oh, the dark side you meant? So I'm barely reading it. I gotta stick my head in there. I guess I didn't. Ojalá que salga derecho. Oh, it's decent. And now I'm gonna take my little stem and I'm just gonna try to remember where I need to stamp by moving it out of the way. And I want a couple a shorter one and a taller one. Oh, I can't be off of the pot. Oops, it's like going to the bathroom, huh? That sounded like that. Okay. So there are my stems. And now I'm gonna do my flower. And I'm doing it in Flirty Flamingo. And I'm just gonna put a flower. I'm gonna put it next to me here so I can see. There's a flower. Ooh, I'm gonna tilt this one this way. And I'm gonna tilt this one the other way. Because they're so close together. Alright, and now I can put my flower pot right up to them like this. Isn't that a cutie? Super simple. I can just glue it. You could use dimensionals if you wanted to. I don't think it needs them, but it's everybody's own card. Everybody decides. And I keep getting little tiny specks. There's my card. I didn't actually do anything to the inside, but you can go ahead and stamp the inside if you want. So here's my card and here's my envelope. Oops. Did you like it? Is that awesome? Okay, last card. We're going to use a regular card base. And we're going to use the leftover strip from the, and I think I'm going to use this side because this side kind of clashes with it, but this side kind of coordinates with it, you see? So I'm going to, first I'm going to fold my card. This is Thick Whisper White. Excuse me, Thick Basic White. Okay, there's my card. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it here, and then I'm going to put my sentiment piece right here. That's all the decoration it's going to get. But we have this little ridge, so I'm going to push it back with my bone folder. Just if you just run your bone folder, it gets rid of the little ridge. And if you have any fuzzies, you can trim them off. Okay? I'm not going to adhere this until I'm ready to place this. And I don't want a very big border. I think about that much. But let's stamp this first. So, best day ever. Should we do another happy birthday card? I love this font. Oh, let's do best day ever. this up here. Let me ink it really well, and let me get my mat, my foam mat. Maybe that'll make it a crisper, a more crisp stamped image. Right, so it barely fits, so you gotta get it right in there. Best day ever. And hold it just a bit. Okay. Now I'm going to do my stem. Let me get the green. I'll try to close it between each use to be as clean as possible, but I still get ink on my fingers, so let me make sure that I don't have it. Okay. I'm gonna do my stem. I'm just gonna do it. Ooh, I really want to show you a different way to do it, but I don't think I have enough room. Oh, this will be fine. Right here. Then I'm going to do the leaves, the large set of leaves. It's going to be right here. You do get a much better stamped image if you use the mat. Then I'm going to take the flirty flamingo. And I'm going to stamp the flower. At first I thought, oh, this would be a hard stamp set to use, but since I've been playing with it, I've loved it. I've fallen in love with it. I really, really like it. Okay, so there's my stamped image. What I want to show you, I'm going to show you anyway. I can't not show you. You could take this flower, you could stamp it here, well, on your card. Then you can ink it up again, turn it upside down, and you can make a complete flower. I can't really see to line it up, but look, you can make a whole flower. Isn't that awesome? And that's simple. The flower pot is super cute and very simple to make. Don't you just love that? I do. Okay, so now I'm gonna take and put a little bit of glue on the left-hand corner, top left-hand corner, right there. So I can decide how much of a border I want. And there, I have about 1/4 inch. Oh, and it's gonna be different, but that's okay. On this card, I glued that piece first, and then I put it on dimensionals. On this card, we're gonna put the whole thing on dimensionals. I know you all make fun of me when I say it's never wrong, but it really is never wrong. It's whatever you want it to be. And if you wanted it to be something different, but you forgot, then it's not wrong either. It's just different. Okay, so I have a bunch of dimensionals there. Peel those off. And then place this right in the center, keeping track of your border piece too. So there is my card. And there is my envelope. Do you like it? Aren't they awesome? Look, this is what we had left over. Like seriously, this is what we had left over. Because, well, we had a lot of scraps, but these scraps were from the envelopes. But from those leftover pieces, this is all we had left. You know, there's a way to make a card with this. I'll have to show you one of these days. But lately I've been throwing them away because I have too many scraps. But we can paper piece a card together with those scraps. Okay, so let me know if you liked it. Let me know which is your favorite. the flower pot one, the mini one, or the large one? Did you like the method? You like the last one the best, Joanne? That's pretty cute. That's nice. This is isn't that a neat stamp set? Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here. It's called In Symmetry. And then there's a paper that coordinates with it, which is this paper that we used. And it has a bunch of, I don't know where you got that. Okay, it's right here. It has a bunch of patterns. I don't know why it makes me think of the 70s. So all the flowers, I guess, maybe? It makes me think of wallpaper that you would see in kitchens. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, that's the same. And it's called Sweet Symmetry. The stamp set is called In Symmetry and the paper is called Sweet Symmetry. Okay, well, I'm going to draw a name to see who wins these this week. I'm glad you liked it. I'm sorry I was late, but we got through it. So have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week. Or some of you I'm going to see on Friday. All right. Bye-bye. Have a good week. Take care. If you have any questions, just type them in, and I'll answer them later. Bye-bye.